Welcome back to another Old Mutual Wealth Coffee Chat with Tiaan Herselman, head of Old Mutual Wealth Proposition, where today we delve into the retirement and advice side of things because we've been traveling the country extensively and 1 September is looming for Two-Pot, the new retirement system coming out. There seems to be a lot of misinformation out there. Clients are slightly confused and it's eliciting new advice conversations for planners in their practice. But before we go into the detail, Tiaan, I want to ask you, overarching, what was the madness behind Treasury's act?
I don't think it's madness. I think it's a balancing act between people not saving enough for retirement, people cashing in their retirement funds. We saw 6 out of 10 people in 2023 cash in their retirement funds when moving employers. You've got 4 out of 10 people being part of the sandwich generation. Otherwise, looking after both their parents and their kids at the same time. People having low savings rates, access to liquid money. And then lastly, also, people being very overly indebted. And government looked at this entire problem and said, well, how do we solve this conundrum? Giving people access to more liquid money, not waiting all the way to retirement, but also making sure people are saving enough for retirement and not being liable on the government for maybe a government grant. And that's where the two-pot system, or as most people have now started calling it, the three-pot system actually came from. And what it's basically doing, in the simplest term, although there's a lot of complexity behind it, it's saying that your savings pot, your 1/3 of contributions after 1 September, will give you a bite at the cherry before retirement, and 2/3 of contributions you've got to leave all the way up until retirement.
So there is method in Treasury's madness. It's actually going to result in more South Africans saving for retirement than previously, where we actually saw clients taking money out, resigning from jobs so they could access their pension money. Now, going into the detail, you did a bit of a social media experiment where you went on TikTok and you were chatting about Two-Pot just to do a litmus test of what clients were thinking out there. A lot of confusion amongst clients and financial planners for that matter. A change in some of the financial advisors' advice conversations with clients, those clients who are going to take savings from their Two-Pot, and how it will affect their income longevity post-retirement. What are some of the misconceptions from clients and financial planners out there around Two-Pot?
So yes, I did quite a bit of an experiment on TikTok, one of the fastest growing social media platforms 2 or 3 years ago. And it spiraled out of control. So I posted a couple of videos on Two-Pot, and the videos now are more than in excess of 5 million views. But some misconceptions kept on coming up the whole time. The first one is, I'm going to resign because I won't be able to access my retirement funds anymore. Biggest misconception, all of the old rules on your retirement funds up until the 31st of August, that value, all the old rules you have on that money still stays in place. So there's no need to resign because you're worried that you won't be able to access your funds. Second misconception, what happens upon death? Now, Two-Pot is applicable to members while they are still contributing towards retirement. I think we've dealt with that a little bit earlier, but upon death, the rules still remain exactly the same. Your beneficiaries had the option, if they are awarded the interest after you've passed away, the trustees has approved it, to either take out the full amount in cash or annuitize to purchase an income, or a combination of both. That does not change with the Two-Pot system. And then there's a lot of confusion around divorce, a lot of questions, which tells me that a lot of South Africans are potentially planning on getting divorced. But in simple terms, the way we currently interpret the legislation, if you get divorced, the non-member spouse, the person that's been granted the pension interest, they have 2 options. Either they cash in their portion and they pay tax on the full retirement interest from 0 to 36%, first 27,500 Rand being tax-free, or they can take their portions of the 3 pots, the vested pot, the old money, the savings pot, or the retirement pot, and they can transfer that to a new retirement fund of their choice. And then when we look at the overall retirement planning, this is where I think we are going to, when I say we, the financial planning community, and specifically the financial planners, are going to spend most time educating clients as to the impact of Two-Pot. Now, obvious logic would dictate that if you take out money pre-retirement, you are not going to have as good or as much retirement income. But the one misconception, or one part I think that's missing there, is liquidity. The savings pot is your 1/3 that you can commute at retirement. If you draw that out, not only are you paying more tax by taking it now, but you don't have liquid capital in retirement at the one point in time where you do want to have access to liquidity. Now, even in our flagship financial planning tool, our financial planning software, the Wealth Integrator, we many times have this balancing act of taking a bigger lump sum versus drawing more from your living annuity income to make sure clients don't run out of liquid capital. Now, if you draw out your savings pot, you won't have liquid capital potentially in retirement. You'll have a fixed income that you can potentially adjust once a year if you go into a living annuity, or you'll have a guaranteed income, which is fixed. So you don't have that backdoor, that backstop, that liquid money if there was a medical expense, a big capital purchase, or if there was any other liquid need that you had. And I think financial planners are going to spend a lot of time, have a lot of coffee, maybe even come on our coffee chats to explain to clients the impact of losing that liquidity in retirement. But I think the big word that needs to be mentioned more about two-pot is liquidity. And luckily at Old Mutual Wealth, we have state-of-the-art financial planning software that can help you have these liquidity conversations like many financial planners have been doing.
So, Tiaan, we've covered any misconceptions. We've covered the advice part of things and how is this going to change planners' landscape. Any other closing thoughts on two-pot?
I think, Dave, as mentioned earlier on, the value of financial advice now more than ever is going to be of utmost importance. So if you are somebody thinking of accessing your retirement funds, go have a coffee chat with your financial planner. Go maybe think of seeing a financial planner. Get some advice as to what the impact is, not just on your ability to earn an income in retirement, but also the overall liquidity. And make sure you are informed about the implication that this withdrawal could possibly have. And another thing, for those people that are saying, look, I'm not going to touch my retirement funds, do I have to opt in? You don't have to do anything. The two-pot system is not applicable to you. It will happen in the back end, but you don't have to actually opt in and take out your savings benefit before retirement if you don't think it's in your best interest. And for most people, it won't be in your best interest to actually access the capital before retirement.
Well, thanks, Tiaan, as usual, making two-pot tangible for both financial planners and clients, and also, more importantly, the impact that it's going to have on their income post-retirement should they draw on two-pot. Join us again for another Old Mutual Wealth Debrief Exchange.